So, Mark, what have you been up to?
That's a fine question, Greg. It's a fine question. And the answer is I've been spending too much time looking at, I was going to say websites that I shouldn't be looking at, but that sounds
Just go with it.
What I mean is just getting distracted by, obviously there's lots of things going on at the moment, right? And it's easy to fall into a Twitter hole or a Reddit hole or just a news hole whilst you're trying to get other stuff. So curiously, actually, I was thinking about this and thinking about like, how do I just stop myself from constantly refreshing, checking things and all that kind of stuff. And I'm interested like how you guys feel about it. But as I was actually, whilst we were waiting to come on and like start recording these episodes, I noticed a link as I was browsing. As I was browsing actually Hacker News of a plugin that, called Intention, and just tries to stop you browsing sites. So I put in the list of sites that are distracting, and when I go onto it now, I get a little thing that says, "Oh, are you sure you want to be doing this?" And you can kind of unlock it for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes and just like, say, yeah, I'm going to let myself browse it. But just to kind of remind you that you shouldn't really be, or perhaps you don't want to be doing this. Do you know what I mean? Just like,
I need this.
Keep you a bit more in the zone. So I'm interested, like, how you, doing stuff from home. How do you keep yourself, or even doing things like building an app? Like, how do you guys keep yourself in the zone rather than just? I find waiting for builds is terrible. If I run some tests and then I'm like, oh, I'm just going to quickly check Twitter whilst I'm waiting for the test to run. And then
I think a zealot would say, therefore, your build is too long, if it gets to that point. But
I know.
Being distracted is your least problem, least of your problems.
This is the modern affliction, isn't it? It's like it's literally not. It's about 15 seconds, but it's enough time that I'm not prepared to sit and wait 15 seconds.
That is a serious lack of attention.
That is.
In 15 seconds.
Medical issue. I don't know.
I mean, I don't perceive I have an issue like that, but I do tend to have times where I do certain things. So like I've never really understood the people who get addicted to Twitter, and they're like on it all the time. Because for me, I've always sort of check in the morning, maybe over lunch, and then once in the evening, and then I'll sort of catch up. And so maybe I manage my time like that. So I have browsing the internet time. It makes it sound so formal, like I've got a schedule
like
or something.
9 till 6.
But it is a bit like that, and then I'm like, so then I don't feel guilty afterwards. But
do you make your wife and dog leave the room whilst you have your internet browsing? Time for you to withdraw now.
Greg's special time.
It normally just involves Reddit. Although my last deep dive was just a few nights ago, because did you guys see the Starlink satellites? They sort of, they went across most of the UK, but visible from where we are.
I went to Starlink last night and it was cold and saw nothing.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was a bit cloudy. I think maybe they took a wrong turn. I don't know.
So for anyone who didn't, or for future reference, this is a sort of a line of, is it 30 or 60? I don't know, but satellites which are sort of low enough that you can see them, and they're all very close to each other. So when you look up, you just see this line of, they look like stars, of course, but it's just a line of them moving. And once I saw that, because I came across it randomly, I went out to let the dog back in and looked up and saw a satellite. I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then sort of, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. So of course I then went straight in and was like, what is it? Yeah. What is we're being invaded. It's full disclosure. This is what the virus is all about. This is a alien made virus, and now they're coming to finish us off. And then it turned out it was just Elon Musk after all. But that was quite fun to go into that for a couple of hours.
Until you'd mentioned, saw that on Twitter. I would have thought exactly the same. I would have literally run screaming to the house. Never heard of it before. I didn't even know he was doing it.
No. So yeah, so it's I do get into little deep dives like that, but generally I feel like I'm quite good at it.
Yeah, so having talked about focus, you've now just deviated the conversation entirely from what we're talking about.
Perfect.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I just don't recognise I do it. It's so inbred. I'm just like, I never get distracted. Yeah, I'm always distracted. Yeah.
Like you, Laura, do you ever have problems focusing?
What?
Yes.
All right, I think we've answered that question.
Yeah, I do. My focus is literally like all over the place. But I tend to block out bits of my calendar. Like maybe Greg's talking about like goof off time, reading time, you know, stuff like that. But I do get lost in the Twitter hole all the time.
The other thing I read today actually was an article about someone who was saying about how exhausting video conferencing is.
Yeah.
And part of that problem is that it's so easy to multitask whilst you're on a remote conference. It's so easy to multitask that your attention goes all over the place, and then you're constantly having to try and pick up the conversation thread again because you've been glancing at something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just
and it's infuriating as another participant, isn't it, when you can see or hear that someone's not paying full attention.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
great.
It's hard enough, isn't it? Just like syncing.
I missed it. No, actually, the trick obviously is you go, I was just trying to find the mute button. Yeah, it wasn't. I wasn't listening. I was trying to unmute.
Actually, in Zoom, this is a top tip for any people watching. If you mute yourself in Zoom, you can tap spacebar and it temporarily unmutes you while you've got spacebar held. And I found that to be amazing.
Yeah.
Because then it's like push to talk. It's like a walkie-talkie. It's really cool.
It's like old school. That's cool.
I'm actually, Laura, you mentioned there how you find time to read, and I've always been in awe of that, where you've always got a book recommendation, and I couldn't fit reading into my busy schedule. I don't know, maybe I don't know, but when do you tend to read?
I don't always read, but like on an evening, I tend to do like before bedtime, just to sort of get myself sleepy.
All right, so it's sort of
a
transition to bed, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just a habit. I think it's always a habit, isn't it? These things, like people who are like, how do you find time for it? It's just making a habit. Like my exercise routine is non-existent because I don't have the habit. And some people are like, well, why can't you? But it's all about habit and behavior, isn't it? So I think I've just built up a habit with it. But yeah, I find I can't go straight to bed without doing something. I can't just switch off. So I need something.
But that for a lot of people now, and that includes me, is reading Reddit
on iPhone. Yeah, on your phone or something.
I've got a little pile of books by the bed because I generally do quite like to read before going to bed as well. But I've actually they sit there largely unread because what normally happens is I suddenly remember having done my daily Duolingo.
How's your streak?
Yeah, I'm on to 258.
Wow. Can you say something in French?
No.
So cruel. I think you find it's no.
No, I'm afraid the speaking part is fairly. It's a bit like your exercise routine, or it's kind of.
It's non-existent.
Unfortunately, I need to go to France someday. That's the only reason. I would have had it cracked by now, but they shut it.
Shut the border.
So, the way it is.